First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We are live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, and we are here every weekday starting at 1 o'clock. We go throughout the afternoon. We cover a wide range of topics on here, including breaking news if that were to occur, and sometimes we could have discussions about very important things like what we're talking about right now, and that is a study finding a correlation between blood pressure and bedtime, and what that means when you go to sleep, your sleep schedule, all of that we're going to get into because we have the person behind the study joining us right now, Dr. Saurabh Thosar, who's here with us, and Dr. Wrong button there we go, got you now. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it, having you on here, and obviously this is such an important study. Blood pressure is so important to study and learn more about, but I want to talk to you just, how this particular one got started, really what the origin is on why this was so important.
Well, thanks for having me. We've known for a while that sleep is important for heart health and blood pressure. A lot of the studies have looked at sleep duration and sleep quality. There is newer literature coming up suggesting that regularity, bedtime regularity, may be associated with increased risk for hypertension, or rather bedtime irregularity. So we wanted to test that if we made somebody's bedtime regular, does that actually reduce blood pressure in people with high blood pressure? So that's how that's the origin of the study for us.
So making it regular as in like a specific time you go to sleep, a specific time you wake up, not necessarily the amount of hours that you're getting?
That is correct. So we intended to only change the regularity of sleep. So we told our participants to go to bed at the same time for 2 weeks. We told them not to take naps, but we didn't give them any other instructions. They could sleep as long as they wanted. They could wake up whenever they wanted. It was just the bedtime that we adjusted.
Interesting. And what, I guess, to that extent, what were some of the findings that came out of that?
The major finding was that when people with high blood pressure went to bed at the same time, they dropped their blood pressure by 4 to 5 points in 2 weeks. And this blood pressure drop was not only 24-hour blood pressure, but also nighttime blood pressure, which we measured using ambulatory blood pressure monitoring.
That's fascinating. So that was no other necessarily big life changes or dietary changes or any of that, just setting that bedtime.
Just setting that bedtime. And we measured their sleep duration and quality, et cetera. And we saw, if there were any changes in those parameters, and we didn't find any changes. So it was simply going to bed at the same time.
Interesting. And what do you think it is that was the reason for that?
So it's a small study, and we don't know the mechanisms clearly, but we think that it has to do something with the internal body clock. So our internal body clock controls a lot of physiology, including blood pressure, heart rate. When our timing of sleep timing or any kind of timing is irregular, there is a desynchrony between when you sleep to the timing of the internal body clock. We think that by asking people to go to bed at the same time, that desynchrony became more synchronous, or rather, there's increased synchrony between the circadian system or the internal body clock and a behavior, which is sleep. And that it's sort of fine-tuning an instrument to perform better. I think that's what we think is the mechanism behind this, but it needs to be tested further.
And with a finding like this, and seeing such a correlation between bedtime and the blood pressure and how that could drop, going forward, what could this mean for people who are, dealing with hypertension or whatever it may be?
Yeah, so if these findings are held in larger randomized clinical trials, which are gold standard, which we hope to do someday soon, then this simply going to bed at the same time could be a really low cost, low risk or no risk, I would say, adjunct therapy to hypertension. But it by no means replaces blood pressure, etc. But the effects we saw are equivalent to effects of if you reduce salt or if you reduce weight or if you increase physical activity. So the surprising or the robustness of the effect of what we saw is pretty good.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty incredible that could have as much of an effect as that. It's something big like reducing salt in your diet. What are the next steps as far as getting this into a bigger clinical study?
So we need to do a proper clinical trial where we randomize people to either regular bedtime or keeping their same bedtime, and then also follow them for a little longer time, because we are interested to see. This was a 2-week study. It was a small proof of concept study. We want to see if these benefits that we see, one, can be replicated in randomized trials, and two, can they be sustained over a longer duration of time? Because blood pressure is a lifelong kind of a chronic disease. It's not going to go away in 2 weeks. So that's the very next step. And then finding the mechanisms, actually getting into we measure melatonin, etc., to get into the markers of the internal body clock, to see if the body clock changes based on the regularity of sleep.
And could this, in theory, reduce the need for extra medication or some of those other ways that people, combat high blood pressure?
It's too premature to say, but it is definitely. It's simple to try, and it is low risk, I would say, and it doesn't cost anything. So I wouldn't think it is harmful in any way to just go to bed at the same time. I don't think it will replace blood pressure. The effects are not that big, blood pressure medicines, but it could definitely serve as an adjunct.
Wow, amazing. Anything else that you think is important for people to know?
No, I think just it's a really simple, low-cost strategy. Anybody can try it. It's not going to be harmful, I don't think. Just pick a bedtime and go to bed at the same time. Don't aim for perfection, aim for consistency, I would say.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really fascinating, but also a really, very positive sounding study if this is something that's, with those longer trials that can prove that this is really a way for people to just, as you mentioned, simply and cheaply, help regulate some of that blood pressure. That's a pretty cheap cost. So, well, doctor, thank you very much, for joining us just to talk about this too and about this study. For people who want to follow up with more, is there anywhere they can go? I know there's articles online, about this, and we'll have this video. But anything else that you would recommend for people?
No, I think at OHSU, we are very fortunate to have a really big sleep and circadian group. If you go to ohsu.edu and go to research, you should be able to find some resources about sleep, etc. And all the current studies that are undergoing, in the Portland metro area, if you wanted to participate in any of these trials.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
And for everybody watching, this is Fox 12 Now. As I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and sign up for right now, but we are here. If there's breaking news between now and 4 o'clock or anything changes weather-related, we will have that for you. Since we are live streaming here, that's pretty pertinent right now. If you're watching after the fact, thanks for doing so. And feel free to share this segment and, of course, download this Fox 12 Oregon apps. But for now, I will talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.